All right, today we're going to dive into one of Shakespeare's most incredible sonnets, Sonnet 73. And at first glance, it seems like a real downer, you know? It's all about getting old, things falling apart, and, well, death. But it builds to this amazing twist about love that is just so unexpected and powerful. And it all comes down to this one central question. Think about it for a second. It just doesn't seem to make sense, right? That watching someone get older, seeing them decline, could somehow make you love them more? It's a total paradox. But Shakespeare says, oh yeah, it's not just possible. It's exactly how true love works. These two lines right here, this is the whole shebang. It's the end of the poem, but we're putting it right up front because this is the mystery we're going to solve. Our whole mission today is to walk through the argument Shakespeare builds step by step to show how he lands this stunning conclusion. Okay, let's get into it. The best way to think about this poem is to see it as a kind of argument, almost like a lawyer making a case in court. The speaker lays out all the evidence for his own decline, and then, at the very end, he draws this incredible conclusion from it. But before we can get to that beautiful, hopeful ending, we have to wade through the evidence. And let me tell you, the evidence is pretty bleak. For the first 12 lines, that's 3/4 of the poem. The speaker just paints this really grim, honest picture of himself getting old. And he does this with 3 absolutely brilliant metaphors for aging. What's so genius is that each one zooms in a little closer, the scale gets smaller, and the feeling of finality gets more and more intense. It really brings the reality of it all into sharp focus. Let's take a look at the first one. First, the speaker compares himself to a time of year. And now, it's not the hopeful bloom of spring. He says he's in his late autumn, that moment when all the summer vibrancy is gone, and you can just feel the cold of winter right around the corner. And just listen to this incredible imagery. He's not just a tree. He says the branches are like bare, ruined choirs. Imagine an old, abandoned church where the beautiful music used to be. The bird song, the music of his youth, is gone. It's just a memory. It's such a powerful image of cold, decay, and a past that you just can't get back. So, from the scale of a whole season, the poet starts to zoom in. The next metaphor gets a lot more immediate. He's no longer a time of year, he's a time of day. He compares himself to twilight. Basically, the sun is already set on his life. He's past his prime. That last little bit of light is fading, fast. You can feel how much more urgent this is compared to the slow turn of a season. The end suddenly feels a whole lot closer. And the approaching darkness, well, it's not just nighttime. He calls it death's second self. Wow, what a phrase. It's like a preview, a shadow of the final, permanent rest that's on its way. The stakes just got raised big time. Okay, so the final metaphor is the most intimate and the most final of all. We've gone from a season to a day, and now we zoom all the way into the last moments of a fire. This brings mortality right down to its flickering, essential core. His life isn't a blazing fire anymore. It's just a faint glow, the last embers. And what's it smoldering on? The ashes of his youth. The very energy and experiences that once fueled him are now just the remnants that are choking out the last of the flame. And right here, this is the paradox that sets up the whole twist. The very same thing that gave the fire life, the wood, has become the thing that's killing it, the ash. In the same way, time, the very thing that gives us our youth and our life, is also the thing that consumes us in the end. So after 12 lines of relentless decay, autumn, twilight, dying embers, the speaker finally pivots. He's presented all his evidence. Now, it's time for the verdict. The real magic of a Shakespearean sonnet is almost always in those last 2 rhyming lines, the couplet. And in Sonnet 73, these lines don't just summarize what came before, they completely flip the entire poem on its head. And here it is again. The speaker turns directly to his beloved and says, "You see all of this. You see the yellow leaves, the fading light, the dying fire, and seeing all that decay is precisely what makes your love for me stronger." And that's the whole point. The poem's big argument is that love isn't blind. Real love sees the flaws, it sees the decay, it sees mortality coming. And knowing that time is short doesn't weaken the bond. It makes every single moment more precious. It intensifies everything. So that brings us to the big takeaway. Why is this idea so resonant? Why did Shakespeare believe so deeply that knowing about an ending is what actually strengthens love? Well, the poem gives us a really profound answer about life itself. When you boil it all down, the logic is this. We love so fiercely because we know deep down that we will lose it. That ticking clock of our own mortality isn't a curse, it's the very thing that gives our love and our relationships meaning. It forces us to appreciate what we have, right here, right now. And think about what the poem doesn't do. It doesn't offer some easy comfort about an afterlife or seeing each other again. No. All the comfort, all the joy, and all the meaning is found right here in our limited time on Earth. The beauty comes because it's short. So let's just sum up this amazing argument. First, getting older is just a fact of life. You can't escape it. Second, that very fact that our time is limited is what makes our relationships so precious. And third, the big one, true love doesn't get weaker when it faces the idea of loss. It gets stronger. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought, a question the poem asks us to turn back on ourselves. What is it in your own life that you value more deeply, not in spite of the fact that it's temporary, but precisely because of it?